Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Dara O'Connor on the...
All right, guys, and we're live. Here we go. So, technical issues abound for this one.
Between you and I, you think there wouldn't be any, but...
Well, see, this thing, we're in the new studio. I had everything nice and set up upstairs, but now out here, you have to reconfigure everything and all that good stuff. So yeah, we're live, and that's the main thing here. Later than normal, but this is probably going to be the time that we're using anyway, because I like this time. It's nice. So if anyone is checking us out on YouTube or Twitch, please do go in the chat, because that's what we want to hear. We want to hear your thoughts on Fully Loaded 1999. This was fun. This was fun, so I enjoyed this.
And chat away, guys, please.
Absolutely. And also on Periscope as well, if you guys are checking that out.
And hit all your like buttons, subscribe, smash stuff.
Absolutely.
In a computerly way. And
I think we can announce it as well. So not only with the Nerd to Know Media stuff, we're now going to have an exclusive Wrestling Rewind channel. And that's where you guys are going to be able to check us out first, where we stream, but it's all going to be cross promoted anyway.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
and it will cleverly be named Wrestling Rewind. It exists. So
yeah, it exists. So that's what we're going to be doing, and we're going to try get the social medias to kind of link up with that as well. So it is something that we've been trying to do for a while. It's just now we have a bit of time to do it. So
yeah, we've been talking about it since May. It's time to actually make it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had to kind of cross the T's and dot the I's. The Twitch stream is going to stay the same because that's my personal Twitch, and it just kind of works. So we'll be able to go and get it done now on YouTube. So that's happening there. Right, I'm still trying. I'm gonna have to figure this out, because I haven't got my usually when we stream is a lot more professional. So forgive me, guys, because I'm trying to get this sorted out in this new place. Everything is backwards. It's really annoying. It's really weird. But yeah, Dave. Yeah. So that's going to be something we're announcing relatively soon, on the actual channels. So from next week, we will be doing the live streams on that channel, and then it will go up on Nerd to Know Media pretty much instantaneously after the show. The links will go up. I will pop them there. But the thing about YouTube are doing away with the stream now function anyway, so it's going to be all events that we're doing. So the best way to keep up to date what we're doing is either go to Nerd to Know Media and get all the social media links from there, nerdtoknowmedia.com, or join our social medias the same way.
Absolutely. So next week you'll kind of get more of a in-depth detail of, okay, this is the channel that you're watching on, subscribe to this one now and hit the bell for notifications. It should be a bit easier for y'all, that we won't be getting 7 notifications for shows that aren't ours, and it'll keep us all kind of succinct, but of course we'll still be on the backups. But hey, we're waiting too long to get to it, so it's time to be said. It's a great day for wrestling, everybody.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to the only show hosted by fans that don't hate wrestling.
But there's some good news, Dave. Actually, a lot of good news. So I've had a busy day today.
Okay.
Well, because you guys are in America, so while the states aren't burning, you guys are asleep. Here in the old world, we have I can't believe California is burning down because of a firework. What is going on?
I mean, it's fantastic, honestly.
What are you guys doing? It's just, the whole world's just sitting there going, America, what you do? Get your life together, mate. Come on. I love you.
We've only been around for, almost 400 years. So we still have some kinks to work out. We still got to learn not to burn down our whole country.
But it's just like, the riots and that, and then it's like, oh, okay, they're coming out of that. Oh, no, you burnt down California.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, here's something crazy.
Like,
I was in Denver, I guess 2-3 weeks ago now, and they had a temperature jump from 101 degrees to snow.
Wow.
So I mean, just the whole country, Mother Nature, Gaia, whatever you want to call it, everything's fantastic right now. It really is. Couldn't be a better time to be an American.
Yeah, it's something else. So fair play. But thank you for everyone who's listening to us here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. Of course, the True Penny channel as well. I was on the True Penny channel talking about something that you'd love, Dave. Puerto Rican wrestling.
I saw this. I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet, but very excited.
Oh man, you need to check this out. We watched the show from the 80s, and then we watched the show from the 90s. It was basically like Attitude Era WWF mixed to Puerto Rican wrestling. It was bizarre. It's everything. There was a fire match. Absolutely crazy stuff. But yeah, so I would say if you haven't checked that out, totally do. It's an absolutely wild experience. But yeah.
Now that we're done promoting other things, come on, we gotta get to the show.
I know. I just want to say I love being on James' show. I was saying that you have to be on it because I think you guys would get it on like a house on fire.
You think so? Well, that's very inappropriate analogy right now, Dara. Thank you. I'm not offended at all.
I'm gonna own it. Also,
I'm trying to set the scene back here. If you're not watching on video, you should be, because right now I am in some beautiful Irish blades of grass and dew. It's serene, really.
It's beautiful. It's linked to what we're going to be talking about. No, it's not at all.
It fits in perfectly with tonight's show, Monster. If you're in the chat at some point, I'm sure it'll make sense to you.
For sure. One thing as well, we have a partnership now with Impact Wrestling, so that's cool.
Apparently, if you actually watch TNA or Impact Wrestling rather, and you watch WWE in the same weekend, and your conclusion is, Slammiversary was a lot better than Extreme Rules, good things can happen. And we didn't do it on purpose. We just shared our honest opinions.
Absolutely. And it's cool. We have an interview now with TNA star or Impact Wrestling star. I'm not going to reveal who it is, but it will be going up on the channel soon. And we're going to be doing a lot more stuff with Impact Wrestling, so that's very cool. So there we go. And look, people are like, AEW. No, AEW isn't good. Cody Rhodes is in Impact Wrestling, so already it wins.
Yeah, he's not there. Matt Hardy's not almost dying there. There's a lot of good things happening in Impact. There's a lot of good things happening in Impact. I tried. I don't know if you watched it. Did you even try and watch that atrocity from AEW this weekend?
Oh man, I found out about it, and then I had to see the spot, and I'm like, why are people saying this is a good product? Like, Matt Hardy nearly died, and instead of ending the match, they let him go back out.
Yeah, for those of us that don't know what we're talking about AEW's show over the weekend. And, it would be one thing, gosh, I want to like them so much because the roster's great. The roster's guys I grew up, watching on the indies. But, man, it's not just this Matt Hardy spot that we're talking about. I mean, we've talked about spots that Cody Rhodes have done. We've talked about spots that I guess Moxley has done and other people that were blatantly unsafe. And at a certain point, you're like, why?
Absolutely.
Because Jeff and Matt did stuff like this in WWE, but they did it safely.
Yeah,
and look, supposed to be experienced.
At no point watching a Hardy Boys match in the prime, so when they were like, 20 years, 30 years younger?
Right, in their prime, because they did have a match later that I, to this day, will never forgive them for.
For sure. But this was, they would do some crazy stuff, but it was never like, they're dead. Matt Hardy was legit knocked out. Now I've had a bunch of concussions. One of the reasons why I had to stop competitively fighting was concussions. I can't. It's the main reason why I had to give up martial arts.
Makes sense.
I remember I took a heel kick to the head, and it wasn't even a kick. It was showing someone how to do an armbar, and a heel hit me here, and that was it. Lights out. I don't remember 2 weeks of my life. Right, concussions aren't fun. They're really dangerous.
No, I guess we should clarify that according to the con man, Tony Khan,
oh my god,
Matt did not have. I can't. That can't be an original for me. Somebody's
I love
said
it. I love it. No, but he was unresponsive for like 45 seconds.
Well, but according to him, there was no concussion at all, and I don't buy that.
I don't buy that. I'm sorry. It's like it's totally irresponsible. They should have listen. They should have ended the match and then done it on Wednesday. Like, what was the problem with that? You know, it's if you're going to be critical of WWE for doing the stuff that they do, you're going to have to be critical for AEW for doing this. I thought it was irresponsible. Again, like concussions aren't a joke. They're very dangerous.
Look, and I can see the people already saying, "Oh my gosh, why are you complaining about AEW continuing a show on or continuing a match on when there's concussion?" Because we all know what happened in 1999. Well, this isn't 1999. This is 2020. I hope we've learned. I hope the industry has learned.
It's guys. It's current year. Come on, you know, you got to kind of go forward. And
so on that note, let's talk about a show that happened 2 weeks after the most tragic events in professional wrestling, and I have no idea how I felt about it.
Right. Well, I want to kind of. Well, I'm going to need you to park that, Dave.
Okay. Oh, what is there news?
No. I'm just going to need you because you know you'll ruin the ambiance to this if you're looking at it. So before we go into it,
you've warned me about that before. I'll be fair.
Yeah. Did you ever see? It's not. It's very easy. Barely.
Well, it's easy. It's easy. I'm just looking at.
Don't. So my question.
He's not even letting me get to. He doesn't even want to let me say it.
No, I'm not going to let you say it because you ruined the phone for yourself.
Okay.
My question is, was this your first time ever seeing this show?
This is my first time ever watching Fully Loaded in 1999. I've never seen a single match from this show until 2 days ago.
Okay. And the reason why I'm not letting you go the own heart stuff is because you'll ruin it for yourself. You just got to park it. It's like the whole Chris Benoit thing. You watch a Chris Benoit match and you're like, this is one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. And then your brain reminds you what horrible things he did. And you're
I don't have that problem.
Really? Because I do every time I watch a Chris Benoit match and I'm like,
no, because Chris Benoit is some of my favorite matches of all time. And I'm not afraid to say that. Now, what he did after the fact was abhorrent. But the difference is, what happened to him didn't happen inside the wrestling ring, and they decided to keep the show going on. And this is 2 months later, and it's as if that never happened. There's no mention. Not that there should be a mention. I don't know. I just felt like something. So I don't know. It was weird. It was weird to see something so bloody and so violent 2 months after that had happened.
Yeah, but dude, this isn't real. This is a show. It's like, you know, the show
not real.
Wrestling isn't real.
Why am I even doing this? I thought this was real.
This is real. What's going on? There's no wizards in this? What? You know.
I could have sworn there were undead zombie wizards.
Look, I remember this whole thing. I remember the day Owen Hart died.
Yeah.
I remember it being recorded. Because again, like watching these shows, I was in primary school. Like 5th or 6th grade. 5th grade, I think I was in what you call 5th grade.
Yeah.
And fourth grade actually. And this is when my grandmother and my uncle would record wrestling for me.
Right.
So we get the VHS and I'd watch it. And Fully Loaded is one that I missed initially, for some reason or other. But I remember the whole build up to it.
Well, hold on, because this actually brings up a question that I'd love to know. Did they warn you in advance, or did they just straight up not show you the VHS from Over the Edge?
I got it, but it was.
You already knew.
Everyone knew. You know, right. You knew when it happened. But the actual footage of itself, it's not. They don't show it. Like it's not live. It's not there.
There is, to my knowledge, zero actual video of the incident itself. There was rumors that there may have been some, but that it was deleted so that it could never be used in a court case. Conspiracy. We also host the conspiracy show, but there is no. There's nothing in the video libraries. There's nothing in the vaults that 100 years from now we can find. It doesn't
even live. There was nothing when the show happened. There was no. You know,
right, especially not live either. I'm saying there's no B-roll, there's no C-roll, there's no Owen roll, there's nothing of this.
No, it's just that was it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like I remember
California roll. Now I really want sushi.
I remember watching the show, like waiting to see. For some reason, my child mind thought that was going to be in the show, and it wasn't. And then I just remember being really confused because you know you don't know what it is. You can't really kind of process that, you know.
Well, I got into an argument with a coworker my last job about 2 months ago, because for whatever reason he started to talk about it. And he's like, yeah, and if you go on YouTube, you can see footage of it. I'm like, no, you can't. And he's like, yeah, man, yeah, you can. Like, and at some point I was like, dude, like, I get paid to talk about this. It doesn't happen. This doesn't exist. This is what I do. This is my other job. Like, what is wrong with you?
Absolutely. Like that's it, man. But people will have their own way of things, and the mind does ridiculous stuff, and there isn't. And you know what? Even if there was, I wouldn't want to see it, because
no, I wouldn't.
That's not something I would want to watch, right?
Not at all.
But what I'd say for anyone who goes back this time, like, again, this is probably the most well-ingrained period of wrestling for me, 1998 till about 2002, and it's just it's red hot. Like, this is like the best peak WWF as well. So my advice for you and anyone else, just don't focus on it, like, because that will take away a lot from you.
I need a therapy lecture from Debra every week before we go into one of these shows around this. I'm just gonna,
because you'll just ruin it for yourself.
I know it, but I don't ruin it, because honestly, at some point I did forget about it, and I did love this show. I mean, heck, Spider-Man on Broadway went on, Fast and Furious still went on. So
yeah, exactly. Look, but with that said, guys,
let's dive in.
So
let's get into it.
Exactly. So it started. I was watching this on the network, and it's the first time I've seen it on the network. Okay. And there weren't that many changes to the actual VHS. Now, the DVD, which I have, which is an absolute atrocity because they hacked it to bits, with like different music and stuff. And I'm really glad. Also, they covered up all the logos, because this is WWF, not WWE. Right. And there was time where you'd buy the DVDs, and it was just, absolutely horrible. Like, whoever did that need to be shot, because I'm glad WWE actually pay the pandas now, because it actually makes the show good. But
it's charity contribution. At the end of the day, they're helping themselves, and
it's a tax write-off. Absolutely. Yep. So look, this started off with Jeff Jarrett and Edge for the IC belt. Now, what's interesting about this is, right, this is my favorite Jeff Jarrett, and I know that's really controversial, particularly in 2020, when this gimmick it goes really far. But I remember this very clear. The uber misogynist Jeff Jarrett. I'm like,
yes,
this worked. He was over, and people hated him. I'm like, wow, what a heel.
You're supposed to. I love that. I love when people hate a wrestler, and I'm like, you're supposed to. That means they're doing their job.
Doing their job. Like, he was red hot. Like, he was never more interesting than he was here, except for when he went into TNA. And yeah, he'd be gone in the company in a couple of months. This is just before the big China thing, but we will get to that when it happens, because we're still not there yet. Go on.
Okay. See, what I love about all this is you can kind of put the timeline into better perspective than me, because we choose a show from 99 and then 97 and then 93 and 2000. So I kind of get muddled. So your timeline really does help me. Now, something that was interesting for me in this match, I don't know why, but to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time I actually saw Debra do any work. I mean, I've heard her name, I've seen of her, but this is the first time I actually saw Debra.
That's crazy, because Debra is like a huge. I remember when Debra was over. Like, I had a Debra action figure.
That you did.
It was crazy. Yeah, I did. It was because obviously she was, you had to have a women's division in your wrestling action figures as a child when you're booking shows.
I wanted to start a counter for the number of times that King said puppies, but I just forgave him for all of that.
Yeah, you just gotta stop, because he just goes for it, man. And it's funny. I was talking with James about this, and I'm like, I'm really excited to watch Fully Loaded, because we get to listen to King's horrific commentary again and his misogyny. And you're like, he just doesn't stop, man. And the funny thing about it is, at this point, he's actually legitimately running for mayor of Tennessee.
Yeah, Ross talks about it.
Yeah, but I thought that was a joke, and then again, I'm as an adult, I'm like, wait, no, he actually was running for mayor.
Yeah, he ran like what, 3 or 4 times? Yeah.
But what's funny about it is, like, this doesn't help him, because he says the most horrific things in commentary, and you're like, how do you expect to get elected? Like, come on, man, like, it's not gonna work. Anyway, so look,
all that said, great match though.
Phenomenal match. This is one of Edge's like kind of coming out performances, because up until this point he was still shown, but there wasn't really much going on. The Brood was not really a thing as such. Like, it was, but it wasn't. They were just about to break up. So the Brood was there. They broke up. They had just split away. That's why Gangrel shows up, and it was just before the New Brood came, which was the Hardy Boys.
Right. Yeah, there was definitely some odd interference in this, but that said, man, I love seeing a young Edge. There's just a kind of a excuse me for this. There's like a sparkle in his eyes, like as he wrestles. You know what I mean? Like,
and he, the stuff that he does. Well, this is before he, killed himself in the process of doing all those table matches and ladder matches.
Right.
So he's great, but this is his first IC win as well. He won it at a house show in Canada, which I remember seeing that as a kid. I'm like, I've never seen that before. That's really weird. And then obviously it kind of put into the mind, well, anything really can happen at house shows, Oh, yeah. So that's why when Triple H was against Cena a couple of years down the line, I thought Triple H would win, and Cena didn't, wouldn't put Hunter over.
Paul London and Brian Kendrick won the tag titles one time at a house show in like South Africa.
Absolutely. But this
You're welcome, people who care about that.
But this is one of the first times that this actually, fed into a major pay-per-view as well.
It helps. I thought Kane was going to beat Benoit for the WWE Championship or World Championship, whatever it was, at a house show that I saw. That's how good the match was. It's still one of my favorite matches. Yeah.
But I thought this match was great. Jeff Jarrett, I loved the way he won, because he didn't actually win. Edge was cheated out of it basically.
Yeah.
But this would remove Edge from the title picture for a while, because then they'd start going in towards the No Mercy run, is what I call, where he teams up with Christian. They have the match with the Hardy Boys. They start the Terry Invitational, and then you have Edge and Christian. So that's all to come. But this is the weird transitional period where they knew they had their star with Edge, but it'd be another 2 years before he'd really be, the star Edge. But still a phenomenal match. Jeff Jarrett really should have stayed in WWE at this point. It's a shame, because I love Jeff Jarrett. I think he's great, and he's never been so good during this run. I think everything hits for him. Not a main eventer, not by a long shot, but definitely a great hand and a solid IC title competitor. That's always how I saw him, even in TNA. But it's what it is. One of my favorite wrestlers. I love Jeff Jarrett. He's great. The Acolytes versus the Hardy Boys and Michael Hayes. So here's what was interesting, right? As a kid, you'd see the Hardy Boys come out, right? And they were managed by Michael Hayes. And Michael Hayes would come out and he'd be wearing the stuff, and you're like, this is ridiculous. And I love King just ripping it into him, like hardcore, going at how ridiculous he looks. And as a kid, I'm like, he just looked that ridiculous, but he looks kind of old to be in that stuff, He's like trying to be like the cool dad, and it's just not working. So
it's so bizarre, man.
Yeah, I
look, Michael Hayes, if you want to hire me, I think you're fantastic. But now he's never going to listen to this show. What the was that?
Yeah.
If you didn't have the cane, maybe it would be more believable.
See, I like the cane. I think the cane kind of helped, but it was weird.
My issue with the cane is the cane went being from like a prop gimmick that he had to. I'm pretty sure nowadays he just has to use a cane.
Well, last time, I remember Gary and myself ran into Michael Hayes in Liverpool after a show, and we didn't even realize it was Michael Hayes, because we're like, shit, did he eat Michael Hayes? Because he's really, 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 really heavy, and you're like, oh wow, couldn't even believe it. We were
huge in Japan, apparently.
Yeah, but we were in shock, because like, wow, we have not seen Michael Hayes, and at that point it was like 15 years. So it was kind of a bit of a shock. But look, I think this was cool. It was the nice thing. It was like my first real exposure to Michael Hayes as well, when I was kind of cognizant of it, because obviously you're watching it in the Federation years and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, wrestling, whatever. But when you're actually kind of piecing it together, you're like, wait, what's going on here? Why is he there? That kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So this again was the genesis of the Hardy Boys, like before they were the Hardy Boys, but he had a fair idea of where they were going. No Mercy 1999, keep that in mind, because that's when it all kind of clicks, and we will get there. And I think you'd be very, very, very surprised by how fast it clicks, because we're like 4 months away from it, and the stuff that was hinted at this show or tried at this show comes full circle. It's actually crazy. That's why this period is absolutely fascinating. But yeah, look, the Acolytes absolutely like demolished them, basically crucified them for the tag belts. It was an Acolytes rules match, which is basically, we're going to beat the hell out of you and you're going to like it.
Yeah, and I love it's not used enough anymore, but I love tornado tag style matches. I really do.
Me too. They're my favorite. I like tag team wrestling is great, but I think for teams like the Dudleys, the Acolytes, they were kind of like big brawlers who, you know, I never really bought them as like a tag team who would follow the rules.
Right. Like they don't have a lot of double team maneuvers. Like the Hardys, you could tell like, oh, they've been doing this together for a while. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But no, obviously they're one of the best tag teams of all time. But I mean, like, why would they set up a situation for their belts when they could just dictate this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always kind of felt with that.
But, there were 5 title matches on the card, and this is the second match. This is the second match in which the title was not successfully defended. Is that a theme of the night? Let's find out as we continue.
But also, what's interesting about it is, and this we've said this many times over the course of all the time of being involved with the wrestling media. What I love about the Attitude Era, everything fit, everything made sense. Yeah, there were a lot of title belts, but you knew what to expect from each of the title belts, right? Like, you know, everyone involved with it fit that role. Jeff Jarrett starting off, you knew he was like the workhorse there with Edge. Your tag team titles, you're like, oh man, you know, these guys deserve to be here. Makes sense. The next match, D'Lo, my boy D'Lo, and my other boy Mideon.
I don't know why Mideon's your boy. I don't know why he's a wrestler, but I like what you're saying. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, he's a fool. He's terrible. So listen, here's what I have a point to get to before we somehow defend Mideon. I get what you're saying, and I like it, which is the Intercontinental title has an identity. And that identity is carried by the people in that division who meet that identity. It's same for the hardcore. It's same for the European. So I really like that. And that's something that's missing today. You know, Universal and WWE, they're completely interchangeable.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
US, Intercontinental, they're the same thing.
Like I think when the Universal title came out initially, I think they were trying to go for that by having Seth Rollins and Finn Balor go for it. You know, as like a more kind of It feels like an IC belt. That's the thing. Like that's what the world title picture looks like. It's like one of them obviously means better than one more than the other, but then they muddled it up. Doing it this way, it's like you also kind of get to see the future of the company in the belts. You know, like you have, for example, Mideon's never going to go out of the European Championship, but D'Lo will. D'Lo will go and be an IC champion.
Man, Mideon, the fact that he held a title, I mean, that's worth retiring for there because he's such a poor wrestler.
Well, what I love about it is, and he's atrocious, but
thank you. But that's all I needed to hear.
But what I love about it is that he found the belt in Shane McMahon's bag.
Oh, that's the backstory.
Yeah, and because Shane McMahon won the belt off X-Pac, and he's like, "Here, I don't want this." So Mideon was like, "Oh, deadly!" He just found it in the bag and he goes, "Can I have this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then that's why he had the belt. I just think that's fantastic because it's like, And what I love about it is that like Jerry Lawler is trying to put him over, and Jim Ross is like, "Stop! Like, just stop!" It's fantastic because like it's such a ridiculous storyline that really makes no sense, but it makes perfect sense. You know, it really kind of puts over that one. Yeah, Mideon's this joke of a character that is a floozy for the Undertaker,
right?
But D'Lo's like his whole motivation is he's like, listen, like he even cut a great promo beforehand. He's like, look, you can't be a champion with finding a belt, so you're already invested in D'Lo winning that belt. Like it's a ridiculous storyline, but has a great payoff. WWE can't do this nowadays. They tried it with the 24/7 belt, and it's dead now. You know,
it's dead, but it was very successful for what it did. I actually will stick up for the 24/7 because R-Truth was just absolutely phenomenal with it. I mean, his character, the fact that he is as old as he is, don't even Google how old he is, guys, because it'll break your mind.
He's very old, and it's really unbelievable.
R-Truth as a character, as a vessel for the WWE, even to go out and do promotions, is absolutely fantastic. Did it turn into a comedy belt for him? Yes, but it's just as good as anything Santino ever did. Like, this is top-notch stuff.
But here's what I mean, Dave, right? That got one guy over.
Right.
The European title got incredible amounts of guys over.
Well, I think a better example would be the Hardcore Championship, which also got more guys over. I'll give you that. But this is a title. This is a title that I believe was for R-Truth.
Yeah, and that's fine, but that doesn't really. It will never be. It won't live in. It won't achieve the same thing. Like if we're talking about Eddie Bell having it. No, it's not. I don't think so. I think that it worked great, but it only worked for him. And that's
all
great.
It needed to.
No,
I mean, it could work for one other person.
No, I disagree.
One other person. Little Jimmy needs to win the 24/7 championship. No, and then that'll be the greatest thing of all time.
No, for example, like we talked about the Hardcore title, and it's like it went from being and we talked about it and that, and then it went off and did the 24/7. It was able to kind of change based on its need. If you book something specifically with one guy in mind, it's only going to work that way, and it's really like the 24/7 rule could have been this generation's hardcore title, but it was never given the opportunity to do that. It was just right. Let's just have R-Truth win all the time. It's like okay,
but I think you're putting. I get what you're saying, but I feel like you're putting R-Truth's accomplishment down.
I'm not.
It's not like it was originally designed for it to be a vehicle for R-Truth. It's that he was so damn good and so damn entertaining that they just kept giving it to him because it was fantastic. Absolutely. So that's a performer taking a title and making it theirs. They didn't make the title for him.
Fair. It's not his fault. The fault lies.
It's all he gets all the credit for it. Yeah.
The fault lies with WWE because they just don't know how to do this kind of stuff anymore. You know, and it's case in point, like having a simple story of D'Lo Brown wanting to win a title because the guy who has it found it and making it good and having a decent match with Mideon.
I mean, anybody gets a
he had a decent match with Mideon.
Star,
come on, that's an achievement.
Yeah.
But anyway, the next match I really enjoy, and D'Lo Brown obviously won, so he's your new European champion.
5 championships are defended. 3 have been not successfully defended.
Absolutely. Team of the night, maybe question mark. Because remember, the main event of this is Stone Cold Steve Austin is going against Undertaker. And if he loses, he can never, ever go for the WWF title again. And if the Undertaker loses, Vince McMahon is gone from the WWF. So remember, throughout the whole night, this is what they're build, and there is random points throughout the night as well where Austin got busted open before the show, and I love the fact that he's actually like bleeding like a stuck pig. And and I remember watching as a kid going, oh my god, he is actually like bleeding. That's real, man. You know, right? And but I love the fact that the way he just doesn't take it. Like, you know, he's like, oh, I'm gonna bust the Undertaker up, and he smashes the Undertaker's face open and there's blood everywhere, and I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. We have a first blood match where both guys are bleeding before anything started. It's excellent. Anyway,
this isn't like the Mick Foley first blood match where it was like, well, it doesn't count if he's bleeding here. It only counts. No, let's talk about Big Boss Man for Snow before we get to it.
Right. So my other boy, Big Boss Man, I love Big Boss Man. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. This is my favorite.
He doesn't get enough accolades.
No, man, Boss Man is great. Like, yeah, I know as Big Bubba in WCW was a bit of a dud and stuff like that, but he is just phenomenal in this run where he's the enforcer for the corporate ministry and he's just taking names. And for poor Al Snow is just getting his head smashed in. So 1999 has the best
quite literally matches. Quite literally. One of my favorite moments in this match is when I think Boss Man took his baton, and started hammering the nail into the mannequin head. And Al Snow's reacting to it. Like it's hurting him. It's just brilliant.
So the storyline and timeline of this is obviously Al Snow and Big Boss Man had been feuding back and forward for this belt. This was kind of like, you know, they were going back. It was either Al Snow was always there, Boss Man was there. And he ended up getting through the feud, and the mannequin head, had a railway spike through it, basically. And he's been freaking out. And that was driving him crazy. We would then see the arrival of Pepper, Al Snow's little doggo. I'm going to park it there, and we will get there. But that comes very relevant in a couple of months. So I'm telling you, man, they had a long-term, month-long like 4 or 5 months out the line here. It's great. But yeah, so this is like the genesis of that feud. And Bossman and Al Snow here's one thing, right? And you probably wouldn't appreciate this, but as a child, I remember I used to think this was great. Watching the show, and it'd go outside in a hardcore match, and it'd be daytime, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning here. And I was always been like, how did that work? Because again, you're a child and you don't think things through, and you're like, oh, time zones, that makes sense. And you're like, yeah, because it's the middle of the day. So it's always kind of it's crazy, you know, that you just be like, that's one thing that you wouldn't get unless you're halfway across the world, where that experience of it's the middle of the day for them and it's like super nighttime here. Well, it's crazy.
I can't relate as many hours, but I mean, that's how it was when WrestleMania was held out in, I think it was San Francisco a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And it was nighttime for me here on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, it was daylight.
Yeah.
And it was very odd to watch. Like, why aren't the lights and the pyro? Why isn't this as effective? Oh, there's lights.
You're just like, oh, wait, it's
the sun.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
I thought the earth was flat. I don't know what's happening. It's demonetized.
Well, according to AJ Styles, right?
Don't you dare.
Don't you mention his name in that way.
Don't you dare.
I just want to see
Randy Orton of Nerd to Know Media up here.
I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. That's all.
I'm paying attention, CM Punk. I'm paying attention.
But yeah, so
that's my favorite feud currently, by the way.
Oh yeah,
AJ Styles versus CM Punk. They hate each other.
It's so funny. I don't know. I don't know.
If you're not currently watching the wrestling product and you're tuning in on SmackDown to see that feud, you won't. You have to go on Twitter.
You won't. It's on Twitter, like everything else. Everything else is on Twitter. But look, there were some great moments in this hardcore title match. It's not the best hardcore title match of the whole lot, but it's a nice little one that kind of just has some good spots in it, but kind of extends this feud out. My favorite match between these two is St. Valentine's Day Massacre back in February of this year, where it ends up in the river.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. And SummerSlam is the next pay-per-view in the timeline, and there's a really good match that we'll get to. We might actually cover that.
And we still haven't gotten to the dog kennel match.
No, well, that comes after that. That's the blow-off. And that's, you will see there in the timeline. So Big Boss Man is your new hardcore champion, defeating Al Snow. 5
title matches, 4 are unsuccessfully defended, 1 to go, and it's the main event.
Absolutely. The next one is The Big Show versus Kane with Sparky Plug as the special guest referee. This was the low point of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Not a good match at all. This was pretty poor. However, it would set up a couple of things. It would set up the continued feud with Big Show and The Undertaker. They'd end up being the Unholy Alliance, I think they call themselves. I can't really remember it. And they'd like kill X-Pac in the ring, and he'd have the Kane face turn and all that kind of stuff. For some reason, Bob Holly, I don't really remember why he was there, but
I couldn't for the life of me understand it.
I don't remember. I tried to like look into it, and I just don't know why. Let us know, why was Sparky Plug there? Let us know, because I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. But yeah, he was there, and Kane and Big Show had a terrible match. And
this match was definitely more about the interference than it was the actual match itself. That was the problem.
Yeah, it was not good. But I didn't expect anything else. I did like the fact that Austin came out at random points throughout the night. So he came out and absolutely killed Jeff Jarrett with a stunner, which was hilarious. Yes. And then he'd come out again and interfere later on. So it was still kind of, what this was a bookend to, or like a callback to. And I only realized it when I was watching it again.
What's that?
We've already covered. It's literally, they're trying to do a mirror of King of the Ring 1998.
Because that was the match when I commented that Big Show and Kane, this is the first time I'd actually seen them as young guys wrestle each other. And I thought they were absolutely amazing. Because nowadays I've seen them wrestle 1,000 times. It's almost as bad as Edge and Orton.
But this is that's what you're kind of going back to with the whole even with using a first blood match, because as Austin says, the reason why he lost his first blood match was because of the Undertaker, which is true.
But I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, but even with the run-ins and stuff like that, it all kind of was building to kind of get people to remember that, which is weird because again, like we don't remember, or we're conditioned in current WWE product to not remember stuff. You know, like a match that happens on Raw this week, they're not going to refer to something that happened a year and a half ago. They're just not going to do it, you know. But this whole storyline was to kind of call back and Austin to get his win back against, or not even a win, to get that kind of revenge on the Undertaker for making him lose his belt, which he did. You know, to be fair, that's why Austin lost that match. But anyway, and of course we have covered that, so check it out on the channel and you'll be able to watch it.
What episode is this, by the way? We usually announce that. We didn't announce that. Is this 38?
38. Yeah,
38. Look at us go.
So we're hammering through.
We've done 20 shows together, Dara.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, so the next match we had was Ken. Right.
So Dara's about to correct himself and say, actually, the last match wasn't the low point of the night.
Hold on. That's not. No, listen.
You're not going to convince me of anything.
You can't be attacking my boy like that. There's two boys in this.
Right. All right.
Yeah,
let me. Okay. First of all, we're talking about Ken Shamrock versus Steve Blackman in an Iron Circle match. Let me get that out of the way so people aren't like, what the heck are you guys talking about? Here's what I need to say. I am so sorry for saying that the Lion's Den match was horrible, because I found something even worse.
Listen, they both tried.
They tried. That's your defense.
Listen, they did the best that they could.
Aaron's talking to me like we're in a bar late at night, and he's like, "Listen, man, you're a good person. Don't let her let you get you down, man."
They did the best that they could. You know, they would make up for it the next month with a Lion's Den weapons match, which is actually a very good match. You
already told me that the first Lion's Den match is so much better than the second.
It is. It's own hearts in it. Like, come on. Like, what do you expect? I thought this was great. And the reason why I thought it was great, not because the match was good, but
you played SmackDown versus Raw and you played the South Side. That's it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, this is great. You know, Ken Shamrock can do no wrong. Steve Blackman can do no wrong. I had a good time. So
I'm so glad for you.
So I don't think this was bad at all. Like, but looking at it critically, yeah, it was atrocious. But, you know, they did the best that they could. And it wasn't a good match. And you know why they never done a 9-circle match again? I know they've done like parking lot brawls.
Was it even a match? I'm not even sure how.
It was 4 minutes. It was 4 minutes.
It was 3 minutes and 57 seconds. So we're not even going to give him 4 minute credit here. That includes intros.
The low point of this was when Ken Shamrock was just hitting Steve Blackman with the chain. And it was the fakest looking hits ever.
True.
And
I will say that I thought the low point of the match was when the bell rang.
Did the bell ring? I don't
even know. I don't know. It's not in my notes. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Yeah. But look,
I think the cars beeped. Wait, didn't it actually start with the cars all beeping or something?
No, I did like the fact that they were all there and it was like something from West Side Story. I was like, this is hilarious.
Dude, you turned this into a musical and I'm in. I'm in.
Oh man. All I know is,
has there ever been a musical wrestling match? Like a Glee style wrestling match?
I don't know. I wouldn't.
AEW, book it.
Oh my god, that'd be great. What's your man's face? Cody Rhodes coming out and going,
no, don't you dare call him my man. Get away from your Irish colloquialisms.
No,
I'm not taking that.
Cody Rhodes coming out and being like, I should doing a big song about why he should be the world champion or something. It'd be great. Or I hate Triple H or something like that. It'd be really funny too. Oh man. Yeah, they should do that actually. That'd actually be something decent that AEW could do. Anyway.
I'd love to hear a duet with the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks doing a duet would be great.
It'd be fantastic.
We love you, AEW.
Yeah, we do.
Hearts.
But yeah,
Hearts.
So the next match was very strange. I remember this specifically because this was the thing that they had actually done for a while. But Triple H was involved in this, and he was like, "Look, peace out. This is ridiculous." So Road Dogg and X-Pac were feuding with Billy Gunn and China for the rights for D-Generation X. This was a stupid storyline 20 years ago. A great match. Stupid storyline. Still stupid after 20 years. I hated it as a kid. Still hate it now.
Well,
really
it was relevant. It was relevant.
Really want that hockey jersey though. Still.
The DX hockey jersey. Oh.
Bring that back to WWF and I will buy it 4 times.
Yeah, even WWE, feel free to bring it back.
Or WWE. Like, here's the thing, right? Why did they stop doing the hockey jerseys? Because Jericho had a phenomenal one, and the DX one was great. Like, bring that back.
That was great, yeah. This match had my Jerry the Lawler, that's his new name. Jerry the King Lawler line of the night.
Oh, brilliant. Go on, tell me.
Yes, this is my favorite thing to do during these reviews.
Absolutely.
I have to paraphrase it on my notes over there, but it was along the lines of, they were talking about Billy Gunn, and Jim Ross was talking about Billy Gunn's attire, and King says, well, if I was a man with an ass like that, I'd show it off to the world too. Because for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch this yet, or are going to go watch this after, he's basically wearing a thong covered with some like fishnets. He has the same bottoms on as China, essentially.
Yeah, and remember this was because Billy Gunn's name was Mr. Ass.
Mr. Ass, yes. Excuse me for saying Billy Gunn. I actually want to correct this on Wikipedia myself for them saying Billy Gunn, because that is not the fact. That is not who wrestled in this match. And
this would lead up to a feud with The Rock next month, where it would be a kiss my ass match. The loser would have to do that. So we will, as I said, SummerSlam really was important in 1999, and a lot of really stupid things happened. But it's
can we talk about how over Billy Gunn was during this?
Everyone was over.
Everyone was
super.
But I mean, the crowd chanting at him was so strong.
But Billy Gunn won King of the Ring this year as well.
Yep.
He was the King of the Ring winner. So
see, people forget about old Kip James being good back in the day.
Yeah, Kip James was great. And I have to say, like, to say how good he was for people who've never actually got a chance to see him, like Dolph Ziggler, he wrestles exactly like Dolph Ziggler.
No, Dolph Ziggler wrestles exactly like him, and I'm glad you said that. Because when he was doing his entrance, I went, "Oh my gosh, Dolph Ziggler's totally ripping his character off."
Yeah, he did. Exactly. That's what he did. Yeah, he
down to his swagger, the way that he moves his body, the chewing of the gum, the way he flicks his hair. I mean, he watched a lot of tape.
Yeah, and it works. It's sadly though the same thing happened to Dolph Ziggler that happened to Billy Gunn, where he just completely overlooked.
Well, but at least he's won some titles. Billy Gunn never won any.
Yeah, but it was a different world. You just really couldn't get over.
That was the problem with Venus back in those days.
Yeah, that was it. Well, here they got over, but they couldn't. There was nowhere to really, as we said, it was one of the problems with the well-defined stratas. It was just like, you're here, you have a character, you're over, but you're not Austin. You're not The Rock.
Well, hey, the world might revolve around Stone Cold Steve Austin, but there's 8 other planets, my friend.
That's very true.
So expand your mind. That's where I was going with the Venus reference. Figured that was a little too subtle.
Fair.
Yeah.
So Road Dogg and X-Pac won, and they now hold the rights to D-Generation X.
In perpetuity. The royalties they get are phenomenal.
Absolutely. But this is where you'd see the transition now away from DX. This is like the soft breakup.
Yes.
China would go off and be her own thing. She started getting involved with the IC belt, which we will talk about. Billy Gunn ended up back with Road Dogg a couple of months later. So this didn't land. And then X-Pac would go off, hanging out with the X for a while, and then end up with X Factor, which is the worst tag team of all time.
It is. But I will say a lot of respect for the fact that X-Pac took that choke slam from hell and then really sold it this entire match to the point that they almost lost because of a finishing move that he had taken 2 matches prior during a run-in. They don't sell that strongly anymore.
No, X-Pac got killed during this feud. Like,
yes,
with this whole thing, he got absolutely destroyed. But I remember there was a part in this where Kane talked for the first time, with his voice, and that was the most over thing ever, like, for weeks. So, again, wrestling was part of the culture. This was like the main thing you could watch. And when you go back and watch the show, you're like, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, you can actually, it's justifiable to watch it, and be like, hey, this makes sense. You can relate to all these characters. The next match was Triple H with China, who defeated The Rock in a fully loaded strap match to determine the number one contender at SummerSlam for the WWF Championship. Now, 20-minute match, the longest match on the card by a fair amount, really. So this was kind of your main event, your straight match. The Rock and Triple H, just two of the best at this point. They'd end up carrying the company a year later, and you can kind of see why.
Their chemistry is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's better than Rock and Austin, which was a bigger feud. But the matches that Triple H and Rock had were just so much better.
The funny thing for me about this match is when Dara suggested this as the pay-per-view we watched, and I looked at the card, because I went on to, I guess I shouldn't plug where I went, but I went on to a website that will show you the card of a match without showing the results. And I saw, Triple H versus, okay, Triple H wins. Like, I get it. Like, this is why he's recommending that I watch his pay-per-view.
Absolutely not.
Even though I knew going into this match that Triple H inevitably would win, I was absolutely astounded by the way that the match was carried out. I got angry, had heelish moments. I didn't give Chyna enough respect for the last match, and since she's in this one too, I kind of want to give her it, because my version of Chyna that I remember is like 2004, 2005, when she was kind of out of the industry. But seeing her as a young lass, if you will, I get it. I get it now. I didn't at the time.
Sir,
so I want to give her some props.
You're in for some great times.
Yeah.
Because we're about to have the Jeff Jarrett exodus from WWE.
Okay.
Which opens up Chyna and Chris Jericho, their feud, which is very good.
A lot of people complain about women wrestling with men, and maybe you can't do it in 2020, but you could do it. You could do it this year. Gosh, it's so good. Not
every performer is Chyna. That's the truth of it.
Right. There's not everybody's Candice LeRae. I understand that.
Yeah. It was, but what's great about this was this pay-per-view is really important again, because you don't feel the effects of it for like 4 or 5 months. Yeah. This is a game changer. And what's great about Triple H winning this is it sets up the match of SummerSlam, which it makes Triple H, you start seeing him become Triple H.
He's legitimate. Yeah.
He cripples the Rattlesnake at SummerSlam, wins the title belt with on Mankind the night before, and then it opens up his absolute reign of destruction, and it's fantastic. Like, if you have it, I know we talked about it before, but if you haven't seen the promo from One Figure in 1999, which sums up everything, and it's put the Fear Factory. Yeah, it's put the Fear Factory, and it's like, this is fantastic, and just this is how he gets there. This is, the ultimate kind of, it's his origin story, really. And it's such a cool way of doing it. But at the same time, The Rock is completely over too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, The Rock is going to be the biggest star of the company. You just know he's going to be there. But how is he going to get there? How is he going to get past this unstoppable monster, Triple H?
Two things did this for me that really got me sucked into the match. The first was the fact that they mentioned the Madison Square Garden incident in the promos. Yes. I was never aware that was made on TV.
It was.
I had no idea it was ever referenced on television.
Yeah, it was.
So for me,
remember, dude, this was the Edge there. This was the Edge there. Yeah.
So they were breaking that wall a little bit.
They're breaking that wall. Yeah.
Man, that got me excited for the match, because I went, "Oh, they went there? Yeah. Okay. Now where is this going to go?" And when I knew I loved this match is when Triple H took the strap off of himself and went to attack Rock. I was so mad. I was like, he is cheating. You can't do that. I was like, oh, it's working. Wrestling's sucking me in. My belief has been suspended. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought the commentary was great during that match. The only thing that was off about it was, man, I don't trust The Rock with weapons. I never will. I never have. it reminded me of those shots against Mankind, man. When he swung that strap at Triple H, it's not delivered the way that Triple H hit Batista with the chain at WrestleMania last year, which is
the danger with The Rock is not a good wrestler.
No, I don't want to go that far. He's very entertaining.
No,
he's very good sports entertainment.
Well, just let me finish.
Okay,
just let me finish. The Rock is not
so many props to Triple H, but yeah, you finish.
No, I just hold on. Actually, we're just about to go over. So, guys, if you're listening to this on Phoenix 92.5 FM, what are you doing? Go over and check it out on Nerd to Know Media or on our YouTubes and all that good stuff, because you're going to get the full show there. Again, the True Penny channel, we're going to get the full show as well. So thank you for joining us on Phoenix 92.5 FM. But you're better off catching it live when we finally do have a schedule that stays the way it is. But we'll be back next week here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, and we'll be back straight after this quick break here on YouTube on this stream. And there's no break because I haven't done them yet. We will eventually.
There is a 2-second break because I have to run and get something. But
explain
your Triple H love, and I'll pretend I listened for 2 seconds.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll finish this Triple H loving. So, guys, we'll be back after this quick break.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.
And we're back after that real break.
A real break. By the way, Darren never lets me do this, but we're off the radio. It doesn't even matter now. But follow me on Instagram at @TheDaveStevens, or follow me on Twitter at @TheDaveStevens. Do it. You'll regret it. I promise.
And what I'll do
is... You heard me correctly. You will regret it.
For radio listeners, I'll cut that in anyway.
Okay, thank you.
So
appreciate that.
I don't mean to not do it. It's just
every week. Every week he doesn't let me plug himself. Well, I'll plug his band. I'll plug but no, don't follow my co-host. God forbid.
We just gotta follow to our schedule. It's just there's so much to talk about, it just is what it is.
That's the problem with this. You know what we should do? Maybe leave the current events till the
actually that's probably not a bad idea. That's probably
we kind of get bogged down, and
we'll do it. Actually, that's a good call.
It's almost like I've been doing this for a while.
But yeah, look, so getting back to The Rock, right? It's not that The Rock is not a bad professional wrestler. He's one of the most entertaining people on the show, one of the all-time great WWE wrestlers.
Personalities,
exactly. But
I buy the people's elbow.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. It always made sense when he was more of a heel, because it was kind of like it's the heel move.
Like the 5-knuckle shuffle, never really gotten it. It was just a cutesy name to play off of The Rock. John Cena has, Hulk Hogan's move. He has Stone Cold's move. He has The Rock's move. We get it. He pays homage in all of his moves. He does sidewalk slam. I get it. You're all the greats in one, Cena, but there's something about the way The Rock does it. It's in the way the crowd reacts to it. It's just, I love it.
But the crowd bought it as real.
Yeah.
But my problem with The Rock is he works very unsafe. Or did. He got better. But he worked incredibly unsafe. And this was, what he did to Mankind is still kind of unforgivable. Really, when you go back and watch it, it's attempted murder.
It wasn't even it was when we've talked about this on air, so we apologize, guys, if this is your, if you listen to us a couple of times, but man, you read Mankind's book and he's like, I love The Rock, but I don't know, man. Mankind wasn't that cool with it.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I wouldn't be either. I'd be, my kids in the front row watching me get my head smashed in with a chair.
You shouldn't take front head shots while you're handcuffed an extra 9 times and one to the back of the head. I mean, that just if you're Cody Rhodes, apparently it's cool in 2019,
but this is the same year that happened. That's the crazy thing. It's like 8 months later. And The Rock still works unsafe with weapons. And you're like, man, come on. Like, what are you doing?
I don't want to disparage The Rock, but this reminds me of an excerpt from his book, which was ghostwritten, but whatever. It reminds me of an excerpt from The Rock's book when he talks about a kid was making fun of him in school and saying wrestling's not real. I think he was in high school or middle school. So he took the kid and he gave him a pile driver, and he purposely left the kid's head exposed by like a half inch or an inch, just so he'd give him like a little bit of a stunner. Wow. And I'm not saying it's to disparage The Rock. It's in his book, so it is what it is, but it just makes me kind of cringe because I'm wondering, does he have the self-control, or does he get so wrapped up in the energy and everything that he just kind of goes just a bit too far?
And that could be it, that it does kind of strike me that happens, because he is that kind of guy where he's very in the moment, where Triple H is much more the professional.
Yeah, do Spinal Tap, he takes it up to 11,
Exactly. It's just one thing that when I'm watching The Rock at this point, I realize why I wasn't a fan. Because of stuff like this. And now I appreciate The Rock far more as an actor. And as
you're breaking up a little on me there, Dare.
Oh, sorry.
Just FYI.
Appreciate The Rock much more as an actor.
Yes.
Or even going back, I'm
gonna let him kind of reset for a second, maybe twiddle with something on your side, because like almost none of that came through. But I do want to make a comparison while you're adjusting that to The Rock kind of doing that versus John Cena. John Cena, yes, he's acted well in things, but he is an extremely safe worker in the ring. Say what you want, say he's boring, say he doesn't have a huge moveset, but he has a great respect for keeping people safe while he's wrestling. So that's why whenever people make that comparison between The Rock and Cena, well, there is no comparison. The Rock will always have been better on the mic. He will always have been more electrifying in the ring, and he will have always had a more successful run in the entertainment industry. I mean, for crying out loud, he's the highest paid actor, I'm assuming in the world, because he is in the United States. And, John Cena might not get to that level, but in terms of the wrestling business, Cena spent a heck of a lot more time here. His track record's a lot better. People didn't want to see another Hulk Hogan. People wanted to see another Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, the problem is you can't just keep having Stone Cold Steve Austins. We see that now with guys like Seth Rollins. You can't recapture that. So I don't know, but there's a lot in this match that I really liked, because a lot of times when you do these strap matches, you assume, oh, this is going to be incredibly limited as a strap match. What can you really do with it? But I thought they did a great job of getting in and out of the ring, using it in unique ways. I loved King on commentary. Ross at one point says to him, hey, you've been in a lot of these matches. What do you do? And Lawler's like, you attack him with the strap. You choke him. You do whatever you can. And I like that. Exactly. It added a little more realism to it.
It's that danger aspect to it, which, you're like, hey, it's a strap match. It's not just wrestling is dangerous anyway in real life, and also in the world of that you're watching it. It's not a kid's game. It's not a joke. And a strap match, you really buy it, because they do some stupid matches like The Rock would have a Brahma bull rope match, and there'd be like a chain match and stuff. This is one of those times where I thought keeping it simple with its gimmick really worked. Like this was, again, these guys hated each other, and you really wanted to kind of get this going, and that's how they were able to do it. And it was just great. Like this was the real main event. This was the real match that you got that kind of pay-per-view quality performance from, because the next one, it was gimmicked as all hell.
Right. Yeah.
It really was.
That was the thing, is this really wasn't a gimmick strap, to the best of my knowledge.
This was real, and it worked great, because when Triple H won, even though the way he won was still, it really got him over, because again, like, this could have turned Triple H face too, because of what they went through. So they really had to ensure that, right, the job of this was, we got to have this quality match and do all these things, but we got to make sure that people still hate Triple H because,
right.
He's kind of our plan going forward. Because again, this at the same time as well, remember, you have the test thing, you have the Stephanie McMahon wedding thing. So there's a lot going on here in the background that would eventually pay off in the next 2 or 3 months. So keep that in mind. Now, So Triple H is going to SummerSlam, but who will he face? Well, we're going to find out. Exactly.
This is our 5th title match. 4 have been unsuccessfully defended. Is this a trend for the evening? Or will the main event change the trend?
And this was billed as an end of an era match.
Hilarious, because The Undertaker would later be in another end of an era match.
I know, here's the thing. I love the stage design of this pay-per-view.
Yes.
I love, having, Vince McMahon in the middle and then Austin Taker. It was
that picture of Vince McMahon with the blood. Like, what? Who did that?
I think that was Austin busted him open. That was on an episode of Raw where he's busted it open, and they actually signed the contract in
the blood. Well, they signed it in Austin's blood.
In Austin's blood, yeah.
Right,
but
yeah.
Vince would also do the same thing because he got busted open loads too.
Gotcha. But I'm just saying, I thought the set design was hilarious.
Set design was great, man, and they actually did it. They redid it in 2K12. I think that was the Austin one. 2K16. Where you play his career again, and they actually had the set design, and I popped huge. I was like, this is fantastic.
Well, we've talked about this, and I don't expect it to change before the end of the lockdown era, but I really miss pay-per-views that had dynamic backgrounds.
Yeah, well, they haven't done it in years. You can't blame the lockdown because they just didn't do it.
They do it for Mania, maybe SummerSlam, and that's
kinda, but still not really like dynamic. Like, they haven't done it since they went HD and got that big set. That's when they were just like, oh, it's all kind of the same. But what I loved about this period of wrestling and the Attitude Era in general, every single show had an identity. Fully Loaded, this, they probably should have called it something else because Fully Loaded really didn't make any sense. Next year when they do it, it'd be more kind of casino-y and made sense. This was end of an era. They probably should have just called the show that. That would have made sense. But look, it was what it was.
This isn't current WWE pay-per-views. We don't just name our pay-per-views things.
Well, it does have like you look at the promotional poster and it really makes no sense. It's just, they had changed it and you don't want to change it again. It's not a sticking point for me, but it's just kind of silly. But look, this whole storyline, Austin and McMahon had come to this. All the stuff that you heard, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon mega feud, it gone on about 2 years. No, sorry, about a year and a half. There really was nowhere else to go. It had reached its crescendo. St. Valentine's Day Massacre had happened. That was like the big match. Actually, we'll watch that. That's the next one we'll watch because that's a really good show. Have you seen that one, Dave?
I have not.
Right.
I actually do think I saw a couple of matches, but I have not seen the whole thing in its entirety.
Right, that's the next pay-per-view.
Something I would like to do, and I'm sure they exist, and I'm just dumb and haven't searched for them, so I'm going to ask you a silly question. Are episodes of Heat on the WWE Network?
Yeah, there are, yeah.
So I can watch. See, I wish that under the pay-per-view, they would have a link to, this was the episode of Heat from that night.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I would really like it if they do that. I'm going to call up my contacts at WWE Network. I have none. But I really wish that they would integrate that into the UI because I think
they should actually.
That could be really helpful.
But the thing about it is, it's like Heat. Like I have all.
They actually matter.
I have all the episodes of Heat for like 2 years on a hard drive because I love them that much. I watched them. I actually have them that way. So I totally respect your love of Heat because it was fantastic. And at this point, it actually mattered, as you said. That's a really good feature request. If WWE are listening, or even I'm a subscriber and you're a subscriber, we could actually probably write them and go, hey, this would be a cool thing to do.
I've been paying you guys for like years at this point. You've taken thousands and thousands of my dollars. I still support the network.
Me too.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Listen to a suggestion that makes sense.
And to be fair, it is like the UI has improved, but that's a great idea. Yeah. Because again, this is something that's interesting for modern fans who are maybe checking us out here and didn't see this.
Right.
This wasn't like the pre-show.
No,
where they have
this
random
wasn't like
matches.
Sunday Night Heat years later.
No, exactly.
Velocity, where they were just main events.
See, sometimes it was like it's weird because Heat three times out of the week, it would be shot before Raw.
Right.
But on pay-per-view nights, you got, and one thing I loved about it was you'd be watching Heat and you're like, oh man, it's in the arena, but it wouldn't be fully lit up, so you'd kind of get a sneak peek of the really arena,
because you wouldn't want to. They wouldn't want to give away the set design yet.
Exactly, yeah, they wouldn't give it away. But what would happen is, Austin would be there and something would go down. It would change the match, or there would be like a stipulation added or a special interview or something. And then the whole point, you're like, okay, cool. If I wasn't going to buy the pay-per-view, I sure as hell am now, because that does happen. And that doesn't, like, at no point have I watched the pre-show on the WWE pay-per-view. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch it now because, something,
right?
Some stupid dillhole came out and, had a tag match or something. It's like,
I'm sorry, what was that? What was that phrase? Dill hole?
Some stupid dill hole.
Man, I love Ireland. I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so look, I would say WWE, if they're listening or want to do something cool, or even AEW, because AEW do it with their buy-in shows. It makes way more sense. Well, Impact don't do it, but they should. You
work on the budget.
Have one of those, like, if you have a pay-per-view, have it, the show beforehand should actually be informed by the show. It should actually inform the show that it's directly promoting or on beforehand. And that's one thing that they did in the Attitude Era, again, because it was usually written by one guy, and that was it. And it was telling, so it all made sense.
And that one guy just celebrated his 37th anniversary with his wife. So shout out to Vince Russo and Amy.
Fair play, Vince Russo.
For those of you wondering, I'm being dead serious. I just saw that on
He is a bit serious. Oh,
it's true.
Just move the mic. Right, so let's get into this match, because it is getting
late.
This is going to be a long show, man. Like, fair play for everyone sticking with us. Right, so first blood match. WWF Championship is on the line. Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is the penultimate match. This is like the final one in this feud. To my knowledge, Undertaker and Austin will not have this level of feud again.
Not this level.
It would never be a one-on-one kind of thing. It would be very limited to either being a tag match. It would never be this high profile. So this is it.
Now, do you think that after Undertaker wrestles Sting at WrestleMania, the Undertaker will then have a match with Austin?
Well, I do know for a fact that Austin really did miss out on never having a match with Undertaker at WrestleMania. Yes. It's something that he regrets, and it's the interview that I did with him, which is on our channel. He says as much, because I actually asked him specifically about this, because as a kid I remember thinking it was really weird that never happened. And Undertaker would actually go away from WWE in a month after SummerSlam in 1999, and is also for injury, and then he'd come back as the American Badass. And this was apparently the time that WCW actually made a serious play as well for him to come over,
which we covered, I believe, in episode 36 of the show. If you guys want to go,
with Judgment Day. But this is kind of this is the second last match before he go away. So he actually is like legitimately injured.
Yeah,
and during this, which is why, as we said, the match is gimmicked and it has a lot of elements to it which you'd not really expect, but again, it kind of makes sense, right? So look, I think Undertaker, he looks so cool, man.
He does.
Like, the end of the match where he's all
he's so young, man. He
looks so young. It's so weird. You're like, wow, man, like, it looks great. Austin is just absolute behemoth.
He is.
These guys, man, like, there's no one like Austin and Undertaker.
There isn't. Isn't. And look, I mean, I love Triple H. I love The Rock.
Yeah.
But they're not Stone Cold and The Undertaker. And I don't know how to put that in any qualitative way.
You can't.
It's just the feeling that I get when I watch the card.
Like, I would rather watch from a wrestling standpoint.
Yes.
The next year. 2000 is a much better wrestling year. And we will cover that when we're going through it. Like, the matches, the quality of the product is so much better. But it's not The Undertaker and Triple H. It's not The Undertaker and Stone Cold.
No. Now, one thing that I want to kind of set the stage for here is, so I've been kind of jokingly teasing it all night about the whole, championship changing hands. And we know that Stone Cold will go on to defeat The Undertaker. So what I love about this is that they had a plan. which is we're putting 5 championships up for grabs. And then as you're watching the night, you're going, okay, if Austin loses, he'll never have a shot at the championship. Like, that's crazy. Austin can't lose. But then you're going, but Vince can't appear on TV if Undertaker loses. Yeah. So, there's no way that'll happen. So the equalizer throughout the night is you keep seeing championships lost after lost after lost. I mean, they didn't spread them out. They were all in a row. It was 4 championship matches in a row that were lost. So you get to the final match of the night and you're like, oh, okay, WWE is doing a thing. I'm smart. I get how it works. Austin's clearly going to lose. And man, I felt like that added so much to this. I love how they booked the entire show to play into the weight of the main event.
Well, we've talked about this. Like, this is like called booking with a story in mind, not just doing stuff and hoping that it works out. You know, exactly. Like with WWE, they had a clear plan at this point, and like it's actually genius because you're watching the show and you genuinely don't know if Austin's going to win or not. And to add to that, he's busted open. So he is bleeding. Oh, and we're not talking like he is just bleeding openly, like a deep cut. So you're like, man, what's going to happen? He's going to get hit with a chair, and that's it. You know, it's crazy.
You know, and also, you know, we've already seen, I mean, the Mr. McMahon character exists because of the Montreal screw job. Absolutely. And we have Vince McMahon himself come down and sit at ringside
do commentary
for this match and do commentary. Yeah.
That's so good.
Adds more and more doubt to your head.
Yeah. Like, what's
going
to
happen?
Which was
weird because I think there was at one point where Mr. McMahon actually put over Austin a little, like I think he's being a promoter in his head, and he just said the line of how he's like a really great wrestler or something.
You know, I love this because like Vince, you know, still can't really stop being Vince. And he's just like, oh, he's a hell of a performer. Terrible champion, but a hell of a performer. And you're like, yeah, you're supposed to hate him. Like, what are you doing?
Please buy his merch, but
yeah, he's all about, we hate him, you know. By the way, this has my favorite sign of the night because again, along with Jerry the King Lawler lines, we like to pick out signs on this show.
Can you throw up a screenshot of it since people that are listening now are watching on video, or are you not sure you want to show that?
I will splice it in. I haven't got it here, but I'll splice it in. Or actually, I'll put it in a pinned comment so you guys can see it.
Gotcha.
And it's
Can you read it? Can you say it? Okay.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I don't want to misquote it, so I'll just pull it up here because it would be a travesty to misquote.
It absolutely would be. This is one of the things we love about going back through this era is we love listening for lines on commentary, and we love picking out the favorite sign. As most of you are probably aware, Dara and I used to both write for the same website, WrestleView, and there actually used to be an entire section on there of the best wrestling signs from shows. So I think it's really cool. So what is it?
So this one comes at the, if you're watching on the network, the 2 hour and 42:35 mark, right?
Specific.
So specific, yeah. And it fulfills all the stereotypes of this time. So you get your mild homophobia. You get your because compared to some of the other signs we've seen where they just use the F word, like it's like, okay,
yeah, no, this is better.
Yeah, this is better. So an improvement, kind of. You get your WCW reference, and then you also get your just fucking random. What are you talking about? It's this the attitude there. So it's the three things that we look for because this is what the signs were in the attitude era. So, you know, we hit all three. Ding, 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 winner, right? So Eric shaves men's asses.
I don't know who Eric is.
Eric Bischoff, obviously.
Oh, because okay.
Remember the time period.
Right. You showed me the sign and I went, yeah. Who on earth is Eric? I thought they were like mocking their friend at home watching the pay-per-view.
So there you go. Yeah.
The great thing about that is that while Eric may have been shaving, Vince McMahon was waxing and bleaching his own.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know what was going on in the Attitude Era, but it's not the best sign. The best sign is still the one from Double J from a couple of weeks ago.
Double J, ain't he?
That's still the best one. But yeah, man,
they did not care what you put on sign.
No, they did not care. Like, right now, you bring in an AEW shirt and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Or you just put
out
like
you go,
ridiculous stuff on your Thunderdome.
On your Thunderdome,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I haven't gotten in yet. Have you gotten into Thunderdome?
I haven't. I tried to. Here,
No.
guys, hook us up. Come on, we'll be nice.
Yeah, we'll be nice. We'll pretend we like your show. No, I'm kidding.
Not even that. I'll just watch the show with my pup that we have.
I'll
She
actually
loves
watch
wrestling.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, she'll have a great time.
Yeah, we'll put something cute on with us.
Exactly.
Well, I did have a friend post that they were on the Thunderdome, so that's cool.
So was Kenny Omega. So was Kenny Omega, apparently.
So was Kenny Omega. Yeah, and same quality of character, I think, quite frankly.
Okay, so the match itself was 16 minutes. It wasn't a Mac Classic. I did not expect it to be a Mac Classic, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. The finish of it, where Undertaker gets smacked and he is just piss and blood, and you're like, whoa. But the match doesn't. This is what I love about it. They don't care. The match doesn't stop, because then Austin gets busted open and they're both just bleeding everywhere. JR has my favorite line of the night.
Okay.
He's bleeding like a hog, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
He is.
And it's just like, yeah,
I want to
just
talk about that line because Jim Ross, when Rock was beating Triple H, he made a comment about his classic kind of vintage Ross, if you will. Sorry, Cole. About, he's beating him like a government mule, and Lawler turns to him and goes, "How many
mules have they got? Yeah.
how many mules does the government have?" Like
another good line, actually. Another good one from that as well. It's just like, they don't even have woodshed in Greenwich. He's taking them to the woodshed. Oh, it's brilliant. See, you know what's funny, right? And it really is an indictment of current WWE commentary. Yes. We're able to pull these lines 20 years ago, and they're still really good.
Oh yeah, well, because
there's
they're
no
not reading off a script.
Yeah, there's no call nowadays, but it's pointing to, it's an entertaining call from anyone.
No, because I mean, even the last one that sticks out in my mind is when, oh my gosh, was it Seth Rollins dove off a Hell of a Cell into the table, or was it Kevin Owens? Somebody did it recently, maybe like 3 years ago. Kevin Owens. Yeah, he'll jump off anything. There's a great documentary on about this past WrestleMania where Kevin Owens says, when I saw that they brought that WrestleMania sign in, I said, I'm jumping off of that. And then he did, because originally he actually wanted to jump off of the full pirate ship that was in the Tampa Bay Stadium. So this was an idea he had actually had for months.
Yes.
But anyway, to jump back ahead or jump back behind to this, it was the same kind of thing, I thought, where it was just the line was Cole delivered it, and it was something along like, for the love of all mankind, I can't believe this happened. And I remember listening to it and go, oh, that's really cool. Oh, that was really scripted.
Yeah. Because
they're making a reference to the Hell in a Cell jump that Mankind did, but it's
lame.
When it's scripted, it's lame.
It's lame. That's it.
Cool.
It's like,
I mean, kudos to the writer. I would have written something like that for them to say, but that doesn't take away from knowing it was written for them to say. I mean, he's holding the script in his hand.
Yeah, there's a difference between it being said in a movie and it being said as a comment, like in universe, as a commentator talking about an athletic competition. It's just ridiculous. It's like with JR, you believe that he is physically upset when Austin is getting hurt.
Yes.
When he is cheering Austin on, when he busts Taker open with the video camera, which I love. They should use the video camera more often. Now, I know they can't because they're expensive, but when he hits him with it and he busts out, I'm like, man, that's cool. And JR is like, oh my God, he's playing, he's won, Austin won. You're like, yeah, this is great, and it's just, it's why he's the best play-by-play man ever.
Yeah,
still,
we'll excuse you for your comment a couple of weeks ago on AEW. Yeah, AEW is not canon.
Listen. AEW is not canon. AEW just has problems, man. It is what it is. It's all a big con so Cody can play champion.
I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, so Austin wins. The match continues.
Yes, it
Undertaker busts him open, gets the better of him. Vince McMahon comes to the ring, is absolutely livid, and Austin stuns him
on a crutch,
to hell.
mind you.
On a crutch, yeah. Austin stuns him to hell, and yeah, there you go. And it closes with one of the best visuals ever. Undertaker rolls his eyes back, covered in blood. It's so metal.
Yeah.
And you're like, man,
it's so metal.
It is metal. It's like this is the most metal thing ever.
You know, and I absolutely love that Vince gets back to his feet. And Austin, the true sportsman that he is, he knows it's the end of an era. He puts his hand out there and he shakes Vince's hand because this stunner
is the last.
Loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
It's the last. And it's great, you know.
Also, Vince never took a good stunner, I think, ever in the career of stunners.
No, he took a good one. This wasn't it. There was one.
There were two in this match, and they were both
both abysmal. There was I will try to find the good stunners. There's at least two that he took that were decent.
All right.
They're never on a pay-per-view, I don't think. I think they're like throwaway Raws that he just takes a stunner, but this is not one of them. But look, that's it. That's the show. Of it. And look, so if you haven't seen it,
it's metal. You gotta check it out.
Yeah, man, it's a really super good show. And you know, the choice that we have, actually, we can either go on into SummerSlam and do it chronologically, or we can jump back. What would you guys actually prefer? Because like honestly, I'm happy enough to go, you know, bit by bit for the rest of the year.
I'm enjoying this.
Where we could do this, and we could just kind of go in chronological order, or
some
we can
supplemental weeks here or there, and we'll stay in order. You know, at least 2 pay-per-views a month in conjunction with whatever else. Have we formally announced that we have a special show next week? Is that confirmed?
We do. Yeah, we have a special show next week. So obviously after the show next week, we'll kind of go back in. But I think a good plan for us to do is do 2 pay-per-views a month in chronological order, and then do like a special topic or something like that, or even. We will finally let Dave pick something from the WCW library, I think. You're now out of the penalty box, Dave.
I'm out of the penalty box. I can start suggesting again.
Start suggesting again.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for some WCW.
Yeah, so that's it. So that's
Taser is going to be up on the ladder, and we're going to climb for it, baby. Woo!
So yeah, it's all on the table. And of course, guys, if you want to suggest a show, please do.
I don't know what the rest of the card is. I don't even know the name of the pay-per-view.
Be careful, because that penalty box is still there. It's not a life get out of jail free card, man. If I have to watch a show again where nothing happens.
Are you telling me that basically I have a yellow card and I'm facing a second that can give me a red card till like the end of the year?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, okay.
So just
all right.
Try
welcome, Ireland. I'm trying.
Try have at least one good match on the card, and then we'll be fine. But anyway, so I think that's the way we're going to do it. We're going to go chronologically. We're going to finish out 1999 this year. I think that's probably a good idea. And then we'll do some supplemental shows, either bringing guest interviews or fan submission shows. So we'll space it out that way. Guys, again, this is your show. Let us know what you want us to do, and we will do that. Next week, we have Adam Martin, former head chief, if you will, of WrestleView.com.
Our old boss.
Our old boss.
Coming
exactly.
and groveling at our feet to be on our podcast. No, that's not at all how it went.
No, I'm really excited to have Adam on the show. It's been too long, but he suggested Brock Lesnar in Japan. So that's going to be really cool, because
I'm watching this weekend. I have downloaded the entire Lesnar in Japan collection, and I found it online, purchased it, shared it with Debra and Adam, so we're very excited to talk about this.
There's some great matches there. Absolutely. I think we'll even extend it out to the Kurt Angle match, because that's there too.
Yeah, that happened in Japan, so it might as well. Yeah.
That's our end point, I think.
Better than the WrestleMania match.
Oh, by a country mile.
Now listen, I want to say this straight up front. I love the fact that Lesnar used to try and do a shooting star press, and it's Angle's fault that it was messed up. I just want to say that.
Fair.
I don't know why. It's not really relevant to this pay-per-view or this show, but I just need to get that off my heart because I don't know when it'll come up.
But that's kind of what's happening now with our shows as well. Now, the great thing about
we're just moving on.
We're just moving on. So we'll talk about that more next week. I don't want to get into it.
All right.
But yeah, so that's kind of where we're going now. There will be some more kind of streams, some more Impact stuff as well. We're kind of working it out, some interviews with talent and all that great stuff. So yeah, we'll just keep going. The move over to the new channel.
Yes, we're moving to the Wrestling Rewind.
Yes.
If you want to find it specifically,
is that the URL?
Currently, the URL is youtube.com/DavidStevens88. So my name. I'm working on getting the URL changed. There's somebody had it before. I'm trying to work something out, but we will get it close. But if you want to specifically find it next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be youtube.com/DavidStevens88. But hey, if you're on our Facebook page, The Wrestling Rewind, if you go to nerdinomedia.com, we'll of course provide you with great links, and we'll still be available on Periscope, Twitch, Not Mixer, all the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is as well, all the stuff's going to be backed up on the Nerd to Know Media channel anyway. So you
can still find it
you guys will still get it. It's just, if you want it live, if you want it first, that's where it's going to be. So that's how it's going to happen. Again, the show is going to be we're going to do it on 6 p.m. Eastern. So a bit later than normal, but that's pretty much how it's going to be going forward. But guys, I want to thank you so much for listening in for this extended. We've done about over 90 minutes, Dave. So this is another overdrive show into overtime. But is there anything you want to plug before we get out here and wrap up this edition of The Rewind?
Treat this as dead air, Dara, and we've apparently already signed off because you hit me at a blank. I just completely blanked out. I got nothing to promote.
It's okay.
I don't want to promote anything.
If you want to follow him,
follow me on Dave Stevens on Facebook and Twitter. Listen, guys, I saw this meme going around the other day, and it was, don't listen to this guy on Twitter because he has under 500 followers. I only have 507. I'm in dire straits of not being listened to on social media. Don't let me be silenced. Don't let the cancel culture get to me. Hashtag follow me.
Exactly. Hashtag save Dave.
Hashtag save Dave. That's perfect. I want that. I want that in the True Penny description this week.
Okay, that can be done.
Let's do it.
And then you have to justify it to why that's there. When we bring James on the channel,
getting fired. They'll think I'm getting the axe.
Well, man, I'm looking forward to bringing James on the show where he actually has to deal with the madness of this show. It's gonna be funny. Because he's really fond now of doing the segment where it's like Dara doesn't watch Japanese wrestling, because it's just like Dave doesn't watch current wrestling.
Right?
So
yeah,
it's a fun segment.
I've only been paying attention recently because AJ and Heyman are fighting.
Well, hopefully there's some mad stuff that happened that we'll talk about next week. Hopefully, if it keeps going. But so that's going to do it for this edition of the show, guys. We'll be back next week. Keep an eye up on our social media. We will be making the change over to a more kind of uniform presentation. But of course, the best way to do it, go over to nerdtoknowmedia.com. All the links are there, and you'll be able to find us all there. There are updates coming. But until next week, this has been the Wrestling Rewind for Dave and myself. See you next week, guys. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.